This is Jill Pack with the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 106, entitled The Importance of Your Relationship with You. Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack, and I'm a certified faith-based life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want you to know that no matter your season or your circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life, and I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited you're here. And before I get started, I wanted to share something exciting with you. I am currently in the process of getting an advanced certification in relationship coaching, and I am looking to expand my coaching practice to include couples. This is an amazing opportunity for couples that are looking to strengthen their relationships. I am offering a couples coaching package of 5 55-minute sessions for $150. While we work together, I will help show you how to create greater connection in your relationship. Whether you are engaged, newly married, or seasoned partners, you can learn ways to deepen your relationships. So if you're interested, you can schedule a free clarity call with me where we will work together and see if this is a good fit for you. You can find the scheduling link in the show notes and on my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, by clicking on the Work With Me tab at the top of the page. I'm so excited to add this to my coaching practice. Now on to this week's episode. I wanted to spend some time today talking about some things that I think will help you as you are working on the relationships in your life. One of my coaches once said, the relationship you have with yourself is the foundation for everything you do. So it's always the first place to start. When we have a strong sense of self, this helps us to have strong relationships with the people we love. So what does that look like? It means spending time getting to know you by thinking about what you really, really, really want in your life. This includes examining your wants and your desires. And by taking the time to look at these, you start on a path to creating a life you love and a life you want to live. It also includes being honest with yourself, right? Who are you being in your relationship with yourself and with others? And is that who you want to be? Spending time getting to know yourself really is the best place to start. This awareness gives you information that will help you to improve your relationships and your life. Whenever you are trying to improve your relationship with your spouse, your adult child, or someone else, you must start with knowing and having awareness of yourself. So what can happen when we don't know who we are and what we want in life? Well, we can become enmeshed or merged with others. This means we don't know where we end and the other person begins. We can find ourselves focusing on the doing of life instead of being in our life. We can blame other people and not take responsibility for what is ours. We can feel powerless, which can lead to depression and anxiety. We can become disconnected with ourselves. We can lose ourselves. We can feel unhappy and empty inside. This makes me think of the movie Runaway Bride. This was a film that was released in 1999 and has Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, and it's a fun romantic comedy. But the storyline is really interesting. It weaves a tale around the character Maggie Carpenter, who Julia Roberts plays. She's spirited, she's independent, but she's known for this peculiar tendency for leaving her fiancés at the altar. She's dubbed the runaway bride by the media, and this series of failed weddings become the subject of a critical news report by Ike Graham, who's played by Richard Gere. He's a cynical New York columnist who, after his own run-ins with love and marriage, is intrigued and somewhat amused by Maggie's story. So in search of a compelling story, Ike wants to go learn more. He decides to travel to Maggie's small town of Hale, Maryland. And his goal is to write a detailed expose on her, aiming to understand the reasons behind her fear of commitment. And as Ike kind of places himself into Maggie's life and into the town, his initial motives begin to shift. Through a series of events, interviews, and personal interactions, Ike and Maggie find themselves drawn to each other despite their initial reluctance and mutual frustrations. This film combines humor with moments of introspection, and they explore different themes of love, fear of commitment, and this journey towards self-discovery. And throughout the film, Ike conducts interviews with the men previously engaged to Maggie, and they are who she's left stranded at the altar. And in his quest for insights, Ike poses this interesting and unusual yet telling question about how Maggie prefers her eggs. And the responses from the ex-fiancés invariably reflect their own preferences. They gave replies ranging from scrambled, just like me, to poached, just like me, emphasizing and highlighting how Maggie's tastes seemingly mirrored those of her current partner. Interesting, right? And so as the plot unfolds, Ike finds himself defending Maggie in front of her family, which sparks a heated exchange between the two of them. And Maggie leaves frustrated and upset. But during the argument, Ike questions Maggie about her identity, and he highlights her tendency to adjust her preferences, such as how she prefers her eggs, to align with her partner's choices, from scrambled eggs with the priest to fried eggs with the deadhead. And Maggie tries to defend herself, and she says that it's called changing your mind, to which Ike replies, "No, that's called not having a mind of your own." Isn't it interesting? Maggie lost sight of who she was. She felt like she had to be whoever the other person wanted her to be. She did not know herself. But when we can spend time learning about ourselves and coming to know ourselves, we're going to know what kind of eggs we like, right? We're going to begin living in alignment with who we are and who we want to be. And this brings peace to our souls. So how do you know yourself? How do you come to know who you are? Well, it begins by identifying things like your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, those things that are important to you. Identifying your wants and your desires, and learning how to access your intuition. I also like to refer to this as identifying what makes up your personal context filter. Now, it can include all those things, right? Your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, your wants, your desires, right? Those can be part of your context filter. But what also can be included in there is your past wounds, your family of origin, how you were raised, your patterned beliefs, your emotions, your patterned emotions, and your patterned behaviors, right? It can also include relational patterns, right? That dynamic or those dances that you find yourself repeating in your relationships. It can also include your education level, right? Did you go to college or not? Did you complete high school or not? Or your culture. What's your religious or your ethnical or your ethnic or your regional or your gender or your socioeconomic or your generational culture, right? The culture is the water we swim in. Sometimes we don't recognize it, but it's there. It's the things that surround us. And again, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, all those things, the way you see life is influenced by those things that are in your personal context filter. However, when you can slow down and take the time to do some self-discovery in this way, you can use this information as a starting point to begin building a stronger relationship with yourself. And this awareness empowers you to become the creator of your life instead of just a spectator of your life, living in a way that helps you invite in more peace, contentment, and joy to your life. So once you get to know yourself, you've asked yourself those questions, you've done some introspection, right? The next step is to start loving and accepting yourself. Not from a place of, oh, I guess that's just how I am, or a place of resignation, but from a place of loving hope. Understanding that you can be amazing and a mess at the same time. Both are true, and that's totally normal. Welcome to being human, right? The goal here on earth isn't to be perfect, but it's to grow and progress and to learn and to become. You and I came to this beautiful planet to learn and grow and become. And growing people is a messy job, but it's so worth it. But what can get in the way of loving and accepting ourselves? Two things come to mind: shame and judgment. These are powerful disconnectors. They disconnect us from ourselves and from other people. There are 3 ways that people tend to behave from a place of shame and judgment. Number 1, fawning or people-pleasing, right? We do everything we can to appease others or to control how they feel or view us. This does not create healthy relationships. This actually creates inauthentic relationships. Number 2, flee by hiding, withdrawing, or avoiding. And over time, this can actually end relationships. And number 3, fight or being aggressive, which damages relationships over time. All 3 of these behaviors drive disconnection. So if shame and judgment disconnect, how do you create shame resilience? The truth is, you won't get rid of it totally because you and I are human. And as humans, we're going to struggle with this sometimes, but we can strengthen our shame resilience. So how do we do this? We can do this by first understanding our humanity, right? You can begin understanding you are human and having some compassion, love, and acceptance for who you are. That's the first step, is just embracing and having compassion and accepting yourself for the human you are. Number 2, work on developing the courage that it takes to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And I've spoken about this on the podcast before, and this means basically being willing to feel any uncomfortable emotion that comes up for you, knowing that it won't hurt you. Now, this isn't easy, but that's why it requires courage. But on the other side of that is intimacy and connection with yourself and others. And third, begin creating connection by reaching out to others. Find those people that you can share your story with that have earned the right to hear it. We are wired for connection with others, so find your people. So here are some invitations to you. I want you to spend time. I invite you to spend time getting to know you like you would a dear friend. How can you get to know yourself better? What makes up your personal context filter? How do you like your eggs? After you've spent some time doing some discovery about who you are, how can you build your shame resilience? Can you practice more love and acceptance for yourself? And what would that look like for you? Can you practice being courageous by allowing yourself to feel your uncomfortable emotions? What would that be like if you could do that? And finally, is there someone you can share your story with that has earned the right to hear it? When you do the work on strengthening your relationship with yourself, you are on your way to strengthening the other relationships in your life. This is all I have for you today. And remember, you are amazing and have a joyful week. Thank you for tuning in to the Seasons of Joy podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends and family. If you want to learn more about me or how to work with me, just visit my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, and have a joyful week.